Well, like I've never heard of play conjure.
Afternoon, guys. Just a completely impromptu sort of video that I'm doing today, so it wasn't scheduled or planned. We just thought we'd do a final video for the week for everyone at home. So what I wanted to go over was just a bunch of the questions that have come in from my last video, which was yesterday. And I also just wanted to answer some more of the myths, some other questions that we sort of haven't got to that we really wanted to. So yeah, I want to get all over that today, guys. So yeah, just a bit of a special occasion. Just we felt like doing a video, so we have. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was just different creatures, sort of animals and creatures. And there's a massive array of creatures that both have negative and positive effects for the planet and for other species. So it's a bit of a central point that I was on, and specifically talking about Demodex mites, trying to dispel any common misconceptions and myths just regarding those in particular. So if I was to elaborate on it, especially when it comes to symbiotic relationships, that's a common myth that Demodex mites, Phallocorum and brevis, can sort of live in harmony and survive with humans. So a mutual relationship is something that we describe as symbiotic. So what that means is, if anyone at home seen or been privileged enough to watch the movie Finding Nemo, it talks about the clownfish and the sea anemone sort of at the start. I like to use analogies as much as I can. Just for anyone that's seen it knows that it's a healthy relationship. So the clownfish will get any food that sort of swims past that isn't immune to the sting of the sea anemone, and the sea anemone is benefited by the eggs that are laid and also just by any matter that's left over. And when the clownfish die, it absorbs those, so it does eat those itself. I suppose that's an example of a symbiotic relationship in nature, and it's sort of been suggested by someone. One of the questions that came in was, if Demodex mites are so common, is that just another symbiotic sort of relationship? So the main difference and the main point that I really want to get across is with parasites in humans, there don't seem to be any that are really symbiotic. And a symbiotic relationship is where both creatures give and take from each other. The relationship Demodex mites, Phallocorum and brevis have from us is they live on us, they feed off us, and they give absolutely nothing back. And what they do is spread different bacteria around. We know that as a fact. And research is showing that they're causing all of these issues that people are being treated for through the UNGEX protocol and in some other ways that aren't quite as effective or ways that aren't complete solutions. So just moving on from that and talking about some other myths that have sort of come in, and ones that we wanted to squash and really just sort of start to address is, people have been talking a lot in the forums and even on the Demodex mite support group that we manage for you guys, about giant mites. And that's fine. I've had a lot of clients, like I've got thousands of clients on my list that I deal with, but we've got a lot, like, and it seems to be more and more prevalent of people talking about the giant mites you can see with the human eye. Now, in the microscopic testing that we do at the office, it's going on right now as I speak, I've never actually seen one with the naked eye that I could identify with my eye. It always has to be under the microscope. So that's something that we see. We do see it common. And one of the things that comes in quite a lot at the office is giant mites and supposed photos of them. I haven't seen anything that's really substantial, something that couldn't really be discredited or argued against. However, I am hearing it more and more. So I'll just sort of wrap that up. There's no real evidence, and that's putting personal opinions aside. I've seen no evidence in case studies, and I've seen no substantial photographic evidence at this point in time. I sort of want to point out as well that there are new hypotheses being formulated all the time. There's new research being done into Demodex mites quite frequently. Just so everyone at home knows, yeah, our head office is in Melbourne, Australia. So a lot of people don't know internationally that Australia is one of the leading countries in the world for not just scientific research, but in particular medical research as well. We've got one of the #1 cancer institutes in the world here in Australia, and Lucas Heights, our own nuclear facility in Sydney, actually produces a lot of the stuff that they use for chemotherapy. So actual medicine. So yeah, Australia is one of the leaders in scientific knowledge and medical research as well. So, and we've got a fantastic research and development team based out of Melbourne here in Victoria in Australia. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there as well for you guys at home that didn't really know sort of why we chose to be situated here as head office, but that's one of the main reasons. So just to sum that up again, in relation to the giant mites, like no real evidence, nothing that I've seen that would sway me one way or another. And once again, that's casting personal opinions aside, because as I've said, I have to take what my clients say to me really seriously, and it's something that I've heard like quite a lot. So I'll put that aside and just speak about case studies, research, substantiated photography, both normal and zoomed microscopic. So nothing that I've seen. But once again, new hypotheses are being formulated all the time. I think someone out of the UNGEX office has got a new hypothesis pretty much weekly, or every 3 to 4 days. We have new ideas. We hear from the research and development team. They sort of kick ideas past us about what's going on in the lab. So yeah, I'll sort of go into some facts about the Demodex mites now and the different problems that they can sort of cause. So new research is showing that rosacea, there's a really strong link between rosacea and Demodex mites. Now, what I want to talk about is one of the questions that's come in a few times, and it's if Demodex mites are the sole cause of type 2 rosacea, and if that was a fact, then why does diet actually cause the flare-ups then? So the first thing I want to say is Demodex mites in type 2 rosacea can't be completely solely responsible as the sole cause of rosacea. So demotic rosacea is a rosacea variant. However, that's the one that is 100% caused by demotic activity. But new research has shown increased population densities of Demodex mites on the sufferers of both of these issues, obviously, especially relating to the ones that are demotic mite-induced rosacea. But type 2, when we're not saying that it's demotic mite-induced, what we can say specifically and as a fact is the people who were tested for demotic mites, they proved to have higher population densities. So they can be causing other issues. They can be spreading bacteria that leads to flare-ups as well. This is all new research, but it's something that's been not just thrown around the office, but discussed in labs, and there's some research papers on it as well at the moment. So what I might do is I might chuck a couple links at the bottom here. Please, guys at home, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. But the other thing you can do is there's the Demotic Mite support group. You'll find that on Facebook. If you join that, we'll be able to answer any questions for you more directly as well. So please don't forget about that, but please remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, especially if you're one of the guys at home, one of our clients that's going through treatment at the moment. This way we'll be able to give you guys as much info as we possibly can. We're always happy to answer questions here. You can ask questions directly to us, and I really want to just stress the importance of help us out with this live video, guys. Please, the more questions that you ask us from home, the more that we can answer here directly for you. So yeah, don't forget to hit that like button for us, please. I'll go back into demotic mites causing flare-ups in type 2 rosacea, and especially about the diet. So now we know if the diet's causing the flare-ups in sufferers of rosacea, then it's not the demotic mites that are the sole reason for the rosacea. However, what I can say, especially working in the industry, is my clients suffering from type 2 rosacea who've eradicated the demotic populations through use of the UNGEX products and the protocol have had relief from the symptoms that they're suffering from. At the very least, they've had less breakouts of rosacea itself. So I hope that covers that for you guys at home. I know that's one that I've been asked a few times, and it's usually the rosacea, then why does the diet cause flare-ups? It's sort of thrown in there to try and trip us up. But just please be aware, we're not saying specifically that demotic mites are the cause of type 2 rosacea. What we try and say, and we try and stress it as thoroughly as we possibly can, is that people suffering from rosacea in general, type 1, type 2, and demotic mite, like obviously they have high population densities of demotic mites, and treatment still advised because we don't want them causing more issues or further exacerbating any breakouts that may be going on. I think that covers that fairly well. I might move on to just another one of the common questions that we get asked in the office, over the phone, in forums, and directly through our websites as well, which is what causes the mites to increase on some people's skin and not on others. Out of North Carolina, we've had a study done where 100% of the people that were over the age of 18 that were tested for demotic, they found to be carrying them. So it's really complex mites bodies on everyone being tested. So that's something that it does happen frequently. We find them, but during the day we find the bodies, and if we're not going to find them, then it is later on in the afternoon when they've been exposed to the sun all day. So the best thing to do for you guys coming in for testing is don't wash your hair for 48 hours before you come. Try and wear a hat, and try and just avoid direct sunlight. So the earlier you come into the office, the better it is for us. So testing won't take as long, and the scraping test will be able to find bigger populations of the mites in smaller amounts of time. So you don't want to give them the whole day to become more subdermal, because we know, one thing we know from doing the testing is that they hide from the UV rays. So that's when they're predominantly subdermal. They'll either be in the hair follicle or in the sebaceous glands, and that's where they're causing damage. So there's a lot of things out there that are sort of saying that people don't know why they increase in population density, or they increase in numbers on some people but not others. But what I can say for sure, we know as a fact, is it's definitely immunity related. So there's other possibilities as well. And like I said, there's more hypothesis that's being thrown out about why they increase on some people and not others all the time. I'll go into a few of the possible hypotheses, the things that are being thrown around the lab, research and development teams, and throughout the forums. For everyone studying microscopic organisms and parasites at the moment, something that's really come up quite frequently recently. So we're finding that it's quite possibly linked to immune system disorders. Now, what we're saying by that is that if the immune system drops down, we know that that's when the population densities of the mites actually will increase. So there's some research that's been taken a step further that said that low immune systems at the time is what's led to the demotic mites, and then it's gone even further than that in some researchers and some research papers, stating that the demotic mites could be the cause of some autoimmune deficiencies or autoimmune disorders altogether. So what we can say as a fact is, we know that when the immune systems get lower, and then that's when the population densities of the mites seem to increase. So I suppose the next thing I'd take on from there is things like ivermectin and any antibiotics that's lowering the immune system can have a negative effect of the treatment of any parasites. And that's due to the fact that we know that when the immune system drops down, the population densities increase. So if any sort of, especially topical treatment, is just doing the outer layers and not getting down into the sebaceous glands and into the hair follicle where the demotic mites survive and other parasites sort of survive as well, then I can't see it being an effective treatment like whatsoever. So it's just not something that's going to be a complete treatment method, and something that could actually, in the long run, make things worse. So I do use the analogy a lot. It's like a band-aid for a bullet wound. So you might stop the external, but the internal can get like much worse. And the other thing is, some might die off, but when they come back, the immune system's lower, so that causes the population densities to increase even further. All right, some other possible reasons for them increasing in density on some people's skin and not in others is also we've got cross-contamination is something that's thrown out there quite a lot, as in someone's immune system's gone down, their ability to increase in population density has increased, and then from there they're basically transferred over to someone's partner or back and forward. So and once again, while I'm on the subject, I'll just touch on demotic mange. That's with dogs. We know that the mites that move from dogs to people, there's cross-contamination there. The mites can survive somewhere from 12 to 24 hours. But yeah, so, and I've just got a statement that sort of come up on the screen that I really want to address as well. Wish there was a pill you could take to kill them. Yeah, we all wish that there was a magic pill to deal with demonic smites. However, it's something that does require a full treatment plan. So something where we've got a topical treatment, we've got something that's getting subdermal, we've got something that's getting subfollicle, so we're getting into the hair follicle, getting into the sebaceous gland, we're treating the skin, we're treating them where they live, and we're killing them there and also cleaning them off the surface. But one of the main things we do with the Unjex protocol, and one of the reasons that the system works so well is we're getting rid of the sebum, we're getting rid of the oil that's produced that the mites actually feed off. So that helps them quite a lot, increasing population density. So we strip that away from them and make it a more hostile environment, then we know that it's much more difficult for them to survive. So I'll sort of go on from there. Obviously, mites increasing on some people's skin and not others is then obviously going to be related to the food sources. So if it's a hostile environment like a barren wasteland or a desert for the food that they're requiring, then obviously they're not going to be able to increase in population densities as much as they'd like to. And we find that that's something that's really, really important in further treatment. Once treatment periods are completed, then we want people to continue using the shampoos. We're talking about a really low volume, and it's just because prevention's much better for a cure. So especially for anyone who's had problems with demotics before, if you continue your treatment period, not with the PDT or the THT, just for the guys who know the protocol and what I'm talking about, we're just talking about the purifying shampoo and the invigorating shampoo. Now, these products don't work on their own to get rid of demotics infestations and problems where population densities have become so high they're actually causing significant issues. How they do work, though, is they're great for prevention. So that's something I really want to stress. Those products are fantastic for prevention. Anyone who's at the very, very end of their treatment, we want to start thinking about that. Feel free to get in contact with us guys at home. So us guys here in the office from home, and you can do it through Facebook. You can message us on hairmites.com. Mites Off is going pretty massive, so you can direct message us from there. There'll generally always be a consultant around. Now we've got a 24/7 team. If you guys just be aware that Mondays and Fridays are always crazy for us, so we might not be able to answer your questions directly that day, but rest assured, if you email us directly, we'll endeavour to get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. So I've got time for one last question as well. Now, one thing that I've been asked quite a lot, can the mites cause scarring, and are they contagious? We know that cross-contamination is a thing that can occur. Now, do they cause scarring? Now, I've looked at a fair few sites and other research that has said generally no. Look, I'm dealing with thousands of clients on my list. I know for a fact that I've sent photos and had to work with clients who've had scarring, actual like lesions, open wounds from the mites and the issues that they cause. So what I can say for a fact about that is once these people go through the Unjex protocol and their treatment plan's completed, they've had relief from some of these symptoms. Now, it's impossible for us as well, guys, to put a time frame because everyone's different. Everyone's got different symptoms. Everyone's got different populations, densities, and everyone's skin is reacting to the product differently. So the PDT that we use that kills the demotics mites on contact, that's something that's been designed by the research and development team for people with harshest, people with more susceptible skin types to anything that's not sensitivity friendly. So the PDT has been designed so that it can be watered down up to 10 times, which means that's great for those people that have got really sensitive skin. Just to elaborate on that a little bit further now, the best thing we can do, and when we give those people the minimum 3-month sort of time frame for treatment for the demotics mites, we're planning on using that PDT at its full strength and being able to kill as many of those as we possibly can. And that's going to give you guys the quickest relief that you can possibly have. Also, following the protocol is something that's really, really important. So if you follow the protocol to the letter, to the T, and you're getting your immune systems back up there by exercising the right way, not excessively. Light exercise like yoga is fantastic, but nothing too excessive that's going to provide the mites with that sweaty sort of oily skin that is warm and is the perfect environments for them to be able to increase in population densities. So the one thing that I wanted to just make absolutely clear just about mites causing scarring, I know for a fact, and dealing with some of my clients, they can. So anyone who's got any open wounds from the mites themselves, it's one of the harshest things that they can do to people. Yes, it is completely treatable. We can get rid of the mites and stop them from causing those issues for you. So just wanted to squeeze that video in, guys. Sorry if I was talking a little bit quickly, but I really wanted to get that done by the end of Friday afternoon. So once again, finally, if you guys could just hit that like button for us, subscribe if you're going through the protocol, especially at home, so you don't miss any of the info. Throw as many questions out on here as you possibly like. If I've missed any, I'll try and get to them with my next video. And my next video will be scheduled for Tuesday. And any questions that are thrown out here, guys, I'll try and answer them then. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.